Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays wherever you may be across the country. Reminder right off the top, we now have an OutKick show that airs every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on FS1. It will also air multiple other times during the week, but the first time that it will air will be 6 p.m. Eastern. It will be live tomorrow, talking about a lot of what happened in the NFL college football weekend that was. When it's football season, we'll be doing a lot of football on that show. We start with the NFL. Last night's game between the Lions and the Ravens, fantastic if you're a Lions fan. If you are a Ravens fan, I think it's worthy of contemplation. How in the world does Lamar Jackson get sacked 7 times? If Lamar Jackson is getting sacked 7 times, as escapable as he is, that means he could have gotten sacked 15 times if not for his ability to be able to get away from pursuers. That is an ominous sign for the Ravens. So, too, is Derrick Henry fumbling now 3 straight games, 2 of those fumbles occurring in games when, arguably, if he doesn't fumble, the Ravens win both of them, both against the Bills and also, obviously, fumbling last night against the Lions. I'll get into my top 5, bottom 5 on FS1. But let me run through some of what happened over the course of the weekend. I'll start with Aaron Rodgers, got a win. Patriots, looks like Drake May is coming along. Mike Vrabel's squad not yet able to get a win against the Steelers. Vikings go out. And look, this was the weekend of the backup quarterback, and I think you see what systems are in place. Last year, the Vikings went to Sam Darnold, and everybody said, hey, Sam Darnold's got nothing left. He was so good that he got a massive contract to go play for Seattle. Now Carson Wentz, he that used to be the next great quarterback in the NFL, shows up, and the Vikings put up 48 on the Bengals. To be fair, Jake Browning, not very good. Oh, man, my Titans. My Titans are so bad that they hired Callahan because he was supposed to be an offensive expert. And a little bit earlier today, he announced that he is no longer going to be making play calling decisions. So it reminds me of Office Space. What is it that you say that you do here? There is not a lot of reason to have optimism here. The Colts dominate. Daniel Jones, maybe he is this year's Sam Darnold, now 3-0. Jags get the win over the Texans. Sometimes we coronate quarterbacks too soon. C.J. Stroud, as a rookie, looked like the next great NFL quarterback. Last year, he had clearly a sophomore slump. Year 3, he doesn't even look like a quality NFL starter. I don't know what exactly is going on with the Texans. They have a loser bowl against the Titans this weekend down in Houston. But the expectation was the Texans had found the quarterback of their future, that they were minting a lot of great results from their trade of Deshaun Watson. And now I look around and I think, is it possible that that entire draft class, Adam, pull up the draft class from just a couple of years ago. I was stunned. I thought that Bryce Young was going to be a really good NFL quarterback. That hasn't materialized for the Carolina Panthers. In year 1, and make sure that I'm right recollecting this, it looked like C.J. Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in that draft. Now he looks like a bust. Anthony Richardson got beaten out by Daniel Jones, basically doesn't play, hasn't been able to stay healthy. Is anybody from that draft class in the first round doing any good at all? I need to do my research. Maybe we'll talk about this on OutKick the Show on FS1 next week. But I think that whole draft class is kind of giving up the ghost right now and not playing very well, certainly including, am I right, Will Levis? I can't even remember how long Will Levis has been with the Titans. I'm right about that, right? He was in that class. He was the first pick of the second round, if I remember correctly. all of these guys are basically busting out right now in a bad way, as if they are running out of money at the craps table. Now, I did say that Bryce Young didn't look very good. Michael Penix Jr. looked awful, 30-0. 2 picks. Kirk Cousins came in relief. Maybe he's not the Falcons' savior after all. And Bryce Young got the win, although to be fair, he only threw for 120 passing yards. But if you lose 30-0 to the Panthers, Falcon fans, there's a lot of people looking around like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Eagles, improbable win, blocked kick. Rams should have made the kick to win, had control of the game for much of it. But give credit to the Eagles who got the win over the Rams. I still like the Rams as one of the best teams in the NFC. I think not Sean Payton, but Sean, whatever his name is, the head coach of I was going to say Sean Ryan. He's got a great YouTube show. It's too many Seans, frankly. But he has done a really good job, not Sean Clifford, but they have done a really good job with the Rams, and he is, I think, the best of the NFC when it comes to challenging. Right now what's going on with the Eagles and Sean McVay. Too many Seans. I got to be honest with you. Too many Seans out there trying to make news right now. In that draft class, by the way, I was right. Bryce Young 1, C.J. Stroud 2, Anthony Richardson 4, Will Levis 33, right at the top of the second round. All of them have been unmitigated disasters, at least right now. So as we continue to work through here, we've got the Bucs. Another blocked field goal. The Bucs were in control of this game. Should have been going up 9. You get a blocked field goal from the Jets, return, but then Baker Mayfield, another guy left for dead of his career that has completely resurrected that career, and even now is playing at an elite level. Bucs are 3-0. You get the Commanders. Marcus Mariota comes in. Lots of plays in special teams. They take down the Raiders. Browns get the win over the Packers in what was certainly the most surprising outcome. Survivor pool. A lot of people had the Packers in this game. Browns get the 13-10 win, come back from a double-digit deficit. Chargers, all Jim Harbaugh does is win. Now, you can question how he wins, but the Chargers are 3-0, get the win, come from behind against the Broncos. Seahawks and Sean Payton. Seahawks get the win over the Saints. Saints are really, really bad. And the Seahawks absolutely blew them out, again, with a lot of special teams plays in the process. 49ers, Mac Jones, backup quarterback, comes in. Kyle Shanahan, maybe the best offensive coach in the NFL. I think it's he and Sean McVay in the mix. But the 49ers get the win over the Cardinals on a late field goal. Bears dominate the Cowboys. Caleb Williams gets the dub. And ugly first half for the Chiefs, but they find a way to get a win. And as we started off talking about, the Lions go on the road and beat the Ravens. Looking ahead, either the Ravens or the Chiefs are going to be 1-3 after the fourth week of the NFL season. That is going to be an absolute Donnybrook to see what ends up happening in that game because neither of those teams are going to be happy at all with being in a position to be 1-3. That is a 4:25 Eastern kick. Ravens on the road against the Chiefs. Early line there. Ravens a couple of point favorites. Okay. Other news in college football. Mike Gundy. He of the I'm a man, I'm 40 rant has now been fired. I think it's fair to say probably best coach in the history of Oklahoma State. Tremendous resume up until the last couple of years. They went 0-9, if I remember correctly, in the Big 12 last year, and then continued and fell apart as well so far this season. Destroyed on the road against Oregon, lose at home to Tulsa. If I'm remembering everything going on, sorry for Cowboy fans out there. Oklahoma State has fired Mike Gundy, and they are already now a lot of different jobs open. UCLA is open. You've got Virginia Tech open. You've got now Oklahoma State open, and I believe Stanford is going to be open as well. A lot of firing going to happen before, beyond a shadow of a doubt, before we are all done there. Yesterday, Bruce Pearl announced that he was stepping down as Auburn basketball coach and that Stephen Pearl was going to be following him as his son, Stephen, who played with him at the University of Tennessee, that he is going to now be the new coach of Auburn. I know both these guys. I like Stephen. I like Bruce. I've known him for a long time. Bruce Pearl, to me, is one of the best SEC basketball coaches of all time. Because when he took over Tennessee, Tennessee was a perpetual sleeping giant, never able to have that much success. I know because I'm a lifetime University of Tennessee basketball fan. And Pearl flipped the switch, took Tennessee to the Elite Eight, took Tennessee to multiple Sweet 16s, won an SEC championship. Then over the stupid barbecue, taking a junior there, Aaron Kraft, he ends up losing his job over that. It looks so antiquated in the modern NIL era that anybody would ever lose their job or get a multi-year show cause. Here's what I believe. If you could wave a magic wand and eliminate that from Bruce Pearl's resume, and he was never fired by Tennessee, I think that Bruce Pearl would have won multiple national championships at Tennessee. And I would bet a lot of money that he would have won at least one national championship. But I think there's a good chance he would have won multiple national championships. He had things rolling at Tennessee. He was bringing in a lot of elite talent. I think certainly Bruce Pearl would have had Tennessee in multiple Final Fours. And I think there's a good chance Bruce Pearl would have won at least one, maybe even more than one national championship. That's how good of a coach he was and is. Went to Auburn. Auburn was the worst program in the SEC, and he took them to SEC championships and to multiple Final Fours, to two Final Fours. And I believe he is one of the greatest coaches in the history of SEC basketball because, again, at the time he left Tennessee, he was the best coach in the history of Tennessee men's basketball, in my opinion. Since then, Rick Barnes has eclipsed him. I do think that's true, but he helped to build the program to a point where Rick Barnes, even with the mess that Pearl left behind, that Rick Barnes could come in and take it to another top level. Remember, Cuonzo Martin took over for Bruce Pearl, and the program was in such good shape that Cuonzo Martin was able to go to the Sweet 16, and Cuonzo never won at a high level anywhere else. Cal, Missouri, I don't think Cuonzo Martin ever won another NCAA tournament game as a head basketball coach in college sports. And so Pearl stepped down. Stephen Pearl is elevated, greatest coach in the history of Auburn, best coach to the time that he was there in the history of the University of Tennessee, again, eclipsed by Rick Barnes. So they talked about him on PTI, and I watched PTI a lot. And Pearl was a guest that they would have in the 5 Good Minutes segment of PTI. PTI, to me, is the best sports talk show, the best sports show to ever air on television. I love Wilbon. I love Kornheiser. I've been unabashed about that. I read these guys' columns back in the day when I was a college kid at George Washington University. I would buy the Washington Post every day for a quarter. I mean, I sound like an old guy, but the Washington Post, when I started at George Washington University, was a quarter. Tony Kornheiser, I bought all his books. He also wrote a style column, one of the most entertaining columnists in my lifetime. Mike Wilbon, also incredibly talented columnist. They put them together in roughly, 01, I think is when they started PTI, if I'm not mistaken. Love the show. Been impressed by these guys for a long time. This is and by the way, Michael Wilbon did a really good interview with OutKick recently, but this is a bad take from Wilbon. They talk about takes all the time. I'll give them a take. Bad take by Wilbon. Watch it.
Happy trails to coaching for Bruce Pearl. The Auburn coach is stepping down to become an ambassador for the athletic department. In his place, the school gave a 5-year deal to his son, Stephen. Pearl is 65. He has had terrific teams at Milwaukee, Tennessee, and Auburn, which made the Final Four last season and in 2019. His decision comes about a year after Tony Bennett did the same thing at UVA. Pearl said he will not run for the U.S. Senate, something that had been rumored.
Tony, he become a divisive person, it seems to me, intentionally, and I hope there was pressure to just get him out.
Really?
Yeah.
I always liked him. He was such a great guest. Yeah, we're on the other side on him.
This is just a really bad take. Really bad take by Mike Wilbon. You heard it there. He said that Pearl was a divisive figure and he hoped he was forced out. That wasn't true. He wasn't forced out. And unless you're willing to say that everyone who has political opinions and is a basketball coach is divisive, you shouldn't say this, right? To me. Now, when Greg Popovich stepped down, did Mike Wilbon say good riddance? Popovich had become a divisive figure? I doubt it. I would almost certainly say that he did not say that. And what Popovich argued for was actually very divisive. Go back and look at all the things Popovich said about Trump, and I think, frankly, they're indefensible. All I've seen, by and large, Pearl say is religious freedom is something that we should all celebrate, whether you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever you are. I have talked a ton with Pearl over the years. I know him very well. I've had him on my programs. I know that he takes his players all the time to Israel and loves having them there because of the coexistence in the old city of Jerusalem, which I had the good opportunity to go see last year, with all the different religious faiths and their holy areas in such close proximity to each other. It's a profoundly moving experience, whether you're Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, to see all of these holy sites in such close proximity to each other in the old city of Jerusalem. I want to take my family. I would encourage you, if you ever get the opportunity to go, because I think it will change your life in many ways to see how small the world used to be and how close proximity all of these individuals were and all of their holy sites are, whether it's the wall, whether it's the place where I'm not an expert in the Muslim faith. Muhammad allegedly, I believe, went to heaven and saw the revelations. Again, not an expert in the Muslim faith. The location of where Jesus was crucified and the walk that he had with the cross when he was killed in the old city of Jerusalem. All of those things are remarkable to see in person. But all I've ever seen Bruce Pearl advocate for is religious freedom and the right of Israel to exist. Is that divisive? I don't think so. I don't think it's remotely divisive. And again, if Wilbon didn't say Popovich was divisive too, then this is just a direct political attack on Bruce Pearl, because to me, Greg Popovich is far more divisive than Bruce Pearl is, but probably because Wilbon tends to be a left-leaning guy, he didn't see Popovich as divisive. He did see Pearl as divisive. Let's play. I think we got a couple of these cuts. Kamala's got a new book out. I'll talk about that in a moment. But first, go download the Prize Picks app. Get hooked up with the Prize Picks app. When you play $50, you get when you play $5, you get $50 in your account. I'll have a pick for you on Thursday. We have won 2 of our 3 picks that we have started the season with in the NFL. I will have a new one for you. I believe they have a free square for you this week. Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing yard. So it will definitely be including that as a part of our overall picks. You can play in California. You can play in Texas. You can play in Florida. You can play in Georgia, where I'm going to be later this week. And you can get hooked up in all of those places, and you will absolutely love playing along with Prize Picks. I think that, again, there's a max discount. Jalen Hurts, you can't lose. $50 in your account when you play $5, and it's good to be right. It also pays well to be right. So you should be able to play along with us there. Kamala Harris talked about Mayor Pete. She said she couldn't pick him because she was a black woman and there was too much risk to have a gay man. This is what she said in her book, and she talked about it with Rachel Maddow last night in their interview on MSNBC. This is what it sounded like as Rachel Maddow pushed back. Rachel Maddow, of course, a lesbian. She pushes back against Kamala Harris and her take here. Watch.
I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for President of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for President of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
That
we had such a short period of time, and the stakes were so high.
This is what it looks like when the Democrat Party's identity politics coalition is collapsing. Kamala couldn't pick Mayor Pete because she said that he was gay, she's black, married to a Jewish guy, and that was too much. What she's trying to argue is, I'm not homophobic, but some people in the country are. Do you know who many of those people are? Black men. That's the story that she's not talking about here. Right now, Mayor Pete has a 0% in South Carolina in a poll that recently came out. 0% support among black voters. They aren't willing to vote for a gay white guy. Kamala Harris won't say it. She lost a lot of black men to Donald Trump. 21%, according to the most recent data I've seen, of black men voted for Donald Trump. A record high support for a Republican candidate since the civil rights movement. So pretty substantial movement there. And when you actually look at this, what Kamala Harris is not willing to say is, I can't win if black people are less likely to vote for me because I picked a white guy. That's really the story here. There is a deep homophobia in the Democrat Party that is primarily rooted in black voters, and they will not support a gay white man. This is why Mayor Pete has no chance of ever being elected president of the United States. He just doesn't. Somebody should tell him. He might be able to get elected as a Republican, but the base of the Democrat Party, which relies on black turnout, there is no electable pathway if you have a gay white guy, or probably just a gay person in general, because of deep homophobia from black voters. Also, she said she couldn't pick Josh Shapiro. She said he had trouble potentially being the number 2 on the list. It's because he's Jewish. There is a deep anti-Semitism that is also prevalent in the Democrat Party right now. There are more anti-Semites in the Democrat Party than there are the Republican Party, which is why the irony of them trying to call Trump and me and you, and if you voted for Trump, Nazis. Actually, the people who hate Jewish people are embedded deeply in the Democrat Party, so much so that I'm not sure Josh Shapiro could get the nomination or be elected as a Democrat. That's the story here, and that's how she ended up with Tim Walz. Now, she said that she couldn't pick a gay man in Mayor Pete, and she ended up with a more effeminate man than Mayor Pete in Tim Walz. That, in and of itself, is actually very, very funny. And so Tim Walz was the selection because better candidates, even in Kamala's own mind, Mayor Pete and Josh Shapiro, were unpalatable to the Democrat base because identity politics has broken the party. And I do think this is a significant story that most people are not going to touch. Speaking of a significant story that most people are not going to touch, YouTube has admitted that they censored many conservatives on this website, including OutKick. And this is from the House Judiciary Committee. I want to make sure that I get it right. This is the reality. First of all, Tomi Lahren posted. Obviously, she does a show for OutKick. You should go follow her, all platforms. So OutKick has been locked out of YouTube. She posted this on August 2nd, 2023, 2 years ago. So OutKick has been locked out of YouTube due to Clay and I rightfully pointing out the COVID vax is basically worthless. Moral of the story, you can create a basically worthless vaccine and coax tens of millions of people into taking it. You just can't point out that it is basically worthless. Got it. YouTube now says, oh, sorry, we got this wrong. The House Judiciary Committee has pointed out, Jim Jordan's going to be on Clay and Buck tomorrow. Google owns YouTube. Google admitted the following to the House Judiciary Committee. Number one, the Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies. Number two, the Biden administration censorship pressure was, quote, unacceptable and wrong. Public debate, number three, should never come at the expense of relying on authorities. 4, the company will never use third-party fact checkers. And 5, Europe's censorship laws targeting American companies and threatening American speech, including the removal of lawful content, will not be accepted in the United States. Okay, so what's the recourse here? YouTube censored us for years. They artificially restricted the spread of our stories on YouTube, our videos, and also our stories on Google. I told you all of this. I saw it happen in real time. We had on Clay and Buck sitting United States Senator Rand Paul, a doctor. YouTube would not allow us to post our interview with Rand Paul because they said it violated their speech codes. YouTube would not allow us to post our interview with Donald Trump from Bedminster on Clay and Buck. This all happened. I told you all it was happening. It's great that we finally get an apology and an acknowledgement, but where's the money? This cost hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even billions of dollars, to conservative, I don't even buy into that term, just common sense YouTube posters. We got strikes. We got locked out of our YouTube account. Google penalized us. Facebook did too. Shouldn't they have to pay financial penalties for this? Shouldn't there be actual consequences for censorship and for the lies that they used against us to restrict the spread of our content? And where are all the people that claim to care so much about the free speech? Where are all the people that claim to care so much about the First Amendment? Jimmy Kimmel missed 4 days. He missed a show on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday. And you would have thought the world was coming to an end. Have any of those same people pointed out that what YouTube did, what Google did, what Facebook did, what Twitter did before Elon Musk bought it, that they were wrong to do it, and that there were real consequences, and that the marketplace of ideas lost, and media companies like this one lost the ability to monetize our content, lost the ability to add followers because they restricted the distribution of our content? Where is the recompense? It's great now that they're admitting they did it. We told you they were doing it for years. It was self-evident. But there are no consequences. Shouldn't they have to pay financial penalties to everyone that they restricted in any way? I think so. Shouldn't they have to change their algorithm and artificially inflate us now to make up for the fact that they didn't allow our content to be found then? Because remember, every subscriber that we didn't get for the past several years because they didn't get our content is not only lost money then, it's lost money now. There's a real opportunity cost and continues to be a cost associated with all of this. I'm sorry. Just saying we got that wrong is not enough. There should be financial consequences for what YouTube did. Okay, one last clip. Reminder, I'll be on FS1 with the OutKick show, breaking down a lot of NFL and college football storylines. Abigail Spanberger is running for governor of Virginia. We got a governor race in Virginia. We got a governor race in New Jersey. We've got a New York City mayor's race. Those are the three biggest elections that are taking place this November. Credit to this local news reporter who is asking Abigail Spanberger a very basic question. Should men be able to use women's locker rooms? And should men be able to compete in women's sports? Watch her answer, especially all of you in Virginia. Play it.
As you know, there's a battle playing out between the Trump administration's U.S. Department of Education and 5 Northern Virginia school systems. The Trump administration is taking aim at their locker room and bathroom policies. They say those school systems are violating Title IX by having policies that allow students to use bathrooms and locker rooms based on their gender identity, not biological sex. So can you tell us directly, do you support biological males who say they're women using women's locker rooms and bathrooms and competing in women's sports?
Well, the circumstance as this legal case plays out is really one of, we've had court cases settled or judged here in Virginia in the 4th District, the former Gavin Grimm case related to bathroom usage. And in fact, the argument is, the assessment is, there needs to be much clearer guidance in terms of what is an executive order's binding assessment of Title IX versus what has been a decision of a court. But ultimately, the real impact here is, once again, it is the Trump administration taking dollars away from Virginia. Threatening education dollars to our public schools is an attack on Virginia's kids. It's an attack on our economy. It's an attack on Virginians. And as governor, the important thing, as a candidate for governor, the important priority for me is to ensure that we have the best public schools in the entire country. And the reality is, when we have a president who is coming after Virginia, our education system, whether it's K through 12 or whether it is our public universities, that is harmful to Virginia, our ability to educate our kids, and ultimately our economy.
But do you personally support these policies? Do you personally support them?
All right. Pretty basic stuff. Do you think men should be able to compete in women's sports? My answer is no. Probably almost all of you are also going to answer no. Virginia, a state that Trump only lost by 5 points, a state with a Republican governor right now. How can you trust Abigail Spanberger on anything if she can't answer the most basic of questions? Should men be able to go into women's locker rooms? And should men be able to compete in women's sports? My answer is no to both of those. Very easy. If she can't answer that, how can you trust her on anything? I would vote for Winsome Sears. I don't see this as a difficult decision solely based on this, because if she'll lie to you about this, she'll lie to you about anything. Credit Nick Minnock is the local news reporter who asked that question and followed up and got you that gobbledygook of an answer. This is what actual journalists should do. They should ask questions. They should try to get elected officials on the record answering questions so that voters out there can make decisions about who they support and who they do not support. All right. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP, I am Clay Travis. We will be live with you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on FS1. I'll be live to you with Clay and Buck all week long. Also going to be down at the Alabama-Georgia game. All of the gambling picks are up as well. We'll also on Thursday do the fade. Hopefully we can have a 5th straight week of gambling winners. And I'll react tomorrow to what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. You guys saw me react to that with Will Cain yesterday. I've told you what I think should happen. We'll see what Jimmy actually says on his show, which is set to be taped in a few hours from now. I'll see you guys tomorrow.